Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be looking at creating drum tracks in Logic Pro using the drummer feature. So let's get started. Okay, so let's start by creating a drummer track. So under here, under genre, you can see we've got rock, alternative, songwriter, R&B, electronic, hip hop, and percussion. So we can choose one of these genres now, or we can easily change it later. So I'm just going to select rock for now. We'll go to create. And now you'll see it created an 8-bar drum loop for us, which sounds like this. And now if we did want to change to a different genre, all we got to do is open up our library. So we can go to the little icon up here, or we can hit Y on our keyboard. And now here you'll see all the different genres we have, as well as the different drummers. And each drummer has a bit of their own style. So you can see here we're on Kyle, and it says Kyle is influenced by modern rock, but comfortable with most genres. If we go to Logan, he's inspired by legendary drum heroes of the past, and so on and so on. So each of these drummers have their own style, and you see when we change drummers, it'll change the pattern as well as the drum kit that we're using. So for Jesse, for example, it'll sound like this. And for each genre, there's a whole list of different drummers. So songwriter will have its own drummers, R&B will have their own drummers, electronic, hip hop, percussion. Now another thing to mention, the first 4 genres here, so rock, alternative, songwriters, and R&B, these all use the acoustic drum kit plugin. And you could swap out the drums here if you'd like. And the electronic and hip hop drummers, these will use the Drum Machine Designer plugin. And we can swap these individual sounds out as well. And for the percussion, these sounds are going to be loaded into the sampler. So I'm going to go to R&B. Why don't we take a look at Benny, Modern Motown. See what that sounds like. Okay, cool. Now the first thing is the tempo. We can obviously change the tempo, and the drummer is going to follow the tempo. So if I bring this down to, let's say, 90. I'll follow 90, and maybe I'll do happy medium 95. Okay, so we've got our different drum kits here. So as I mentioned before, each drummer has their own kit. So Benny's playing on the Motown Revisited kit, but you can change the drum kit to whatever you'd like. So we could try the Bluebird kit, for example, and the pattern's going to stay the same, but it's just going to be played on a different kit. So you can try a few different kits and see which one works better for you. Maybe I'll just go back to that Motown Revisited kit. So now we want to develop this drum loop a little bit more. So if we go down here, this is where we can change the pattern even more. I'm just going to create a loop over these first 8 bars. And the first thing is you'll notice this XY axis here. So this will control the dynamic of the drummer, so soft to loud, and also the complexity of the part that he or she is playing, so simple to complex. So if we bring this down to soft, you'll notice that the drummer is going to get a lot quieter, and in a lot of instances, they'll play with a side stick instead of a full snare hit. So there you heard the side stick. And then if I want it to be louder and more complex, we can go to the other extreme. So now you hear it's obviously louder and a bit busier of a part. So let's bring this kind of somewhere in the middle here. And now let's move over to this section here. So this is where we can turn on and off certain drums of the kit. So whatever's lit up in orange, that means the kit is on. So for example, I can turn these off and we'll just hear the kick drum. And if I click on the snare, then the snare is going to be on. And so on and so on. Now, you also have this slider here, and this is what's going to change the pattern. So right now we're set on pattern number 2. So if I go to pattern number 1, you'll hear how the kick and snare drum patterns change. And pattern 3. Etc., etc. And then at the end here, we've also got a halftime. So you're going to get half as many snare hits and a double time. So twice as many snare hits. I'm going to go back to number 2. And now we've also got this follow button, which I'll get to in a second. Now next I'm going to turn on my hi-hats. And now you can either choose to have hi-hats or cymbals. It's going to be one or the other because the drummer won't be able to play both at the same time. So I'm going to start with the hi-hats. Let's have a listen to that. Okay, I think I'm going to stick with number 2 there. And then we've also got some different percussion elements. So we can add in some tambourine if we'd like, some shakers, or some hand claps. Okay, so now we've got our groove dialed in. Now there's also this dial here for fills. So this will control how often we have fills coming in. So if I just zoom in a little bit closer here. So right now we just have some fills at the end of our 8-bar phrase. If I bring this up, now you'll see there's some fills happening at the end of the first 4 bars. So now we have 2 fills during our 8-bar loop. If we increase this more, now you'll see we have some fills every 2 bars. So you can use this to dial in how often you want the drummer to fill on your drum track. I'm going to go back down here a little bit. And then you can also adjust the swing feel. So if you want some more swing, we can crank this. I'll just switch this to 8th notes. So you can see how that changes the groove. Now, if we go to details, here we can also mess with the groove a little bit. We can push or pull the beat. This will be more obvious when there's a bass player or other instruments to play to. And also ghost notes. So we can add some more ghost notes on the snare if we'd like. And then you can also control if the hi-hat's going to be played in the open position or closed position. Right now it's automatic. But if I uncheck that, if I want it to be all open hats or all closed hats, or I can leave it to automatic again. So now let's say we're happy with this for maybe our verse section of our song. We can resize this. Right now it's 8 bars. I'm going to resize this to 4. And let's say I want to add another section for my chorus. I can hover over here and you'll see a little plus button here. I click that, that'll give me another region. I can resize this as well. And now let's just look at our second region here. So now whichever one I have highlighted, if I make changes here, it's only going to affect the highlighted one. So if I change over here to be a little bit more complex and louder, you notice it changed here. But if I click now in this region, everything here will be untouched. So let's go back here and maybe we'll change, instead of using the hi-hats, we'll use the cymbals here. We'll see what that sounds like. Okay, cool. Maybe we want to switch out the kick and snare pattern. Okay, great. I'm going to turn off the tambourine in the first section so that the tambourine just comes into the second section to kind of give it a bit of a boost here. And then now, let's say I wanted just a 1-bar intro. Again, I'll just do that. Turn off my tambourine and then make this maybe a little bit simpler. This will just give me a bit of a fill into my verse section. Okay, now I'm going to show you how this follow comes into play here. So for that, I'm going to have to create a bass line. So let's go and create a new software instrument. I'm going to close the library. Let's load in an alchemy session. And let's try and find a synth bass here that we like. So I'll go to bass. Let's try funk here. See what these sound like. Okay, let's give that a try. Now I'm just going to loop my kind of verse section and try and come up with a bass line for this. Okay, now maybe we'll do a little quick quantize here. So I'm just going to highlight these notes. Quantize, I'm going to bring down the strength just a little bit, 80%. And now let's go back to our drum region here. And what I'm going to do is click follow and select my analog funk bass. And now you might have seen the pattern change a little bit. If I uncheck follow, you'll see here. So now I'll zoom in a little bit. All the kicks are going to change to line up with where I played my bass line. So now the pattern sounds like this. And now we can do a similar thing here. Okay. Again, I'll just do a quick quantize at about 80%. And now again, I'll click follow here and you'll see these kicks just line up a little bit more with the bass line. There we go. Now we were able to get a drum loop happening pretty quickly, but we can even dial this in even more if we want. And to do that, what I'm going to do is right click on here and I'm going to convert this to Midi. And then now I have absolute full control over this drum loop. So now every kick I can edit as I want. I have all the snare hits here, and that's our tambourine and our ride cymbal. So for me in this loop, I think there's a few too many kicks, so I'm gonna just get rid of some of these. Like that doesn't need to be there. I'm gonna get rid of that one as well. That one looks a little out. I'm just going to drag that one over. And there we go. And now that it's also converted to MIDI, we can add that to any other drum plugin you have. So right now we're just using the Logic drums, but I could create a new software instrument. Load up, let's say, Contact, for instance. I'll just grab the first drum plugin I see, the Drum Lab. And let's just drag this down here. Let's go back here. And there you go. Or you can even load up, you can stay with the Logic plugins, and you can even throw the what was originally an acoustic drum loop, throw that on the Drum Machine Designer. So if we click up here to empty kit, now we can load in one of these preset kits. Let's just go boom bap. And once again, we'll drag our MIDI down here, and now it'll sound like this. And we can try some other kits. Maybe that doesn't work so well. Let's try, let's try this crate digger. So there you go. So there's an easy way to get started creating drum tracks using the drummer. You can change out the instruments completely. You can have the kick drum line up with the bass line you played in, or you can convert to MIDI and totally change the pattern to whatever you'd like. It's just a really easy way to start your tracks, especially when you're not a drummer. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. And don't forget to download your free Logic Pro X hotkey cheat sheet by following the link in the description below. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you in the next one.